It's the Fort Hays State University Coaches Show on Eagle Community Television, brought to you by Eagle Communications.
Hello once again and welcome to another edition of Tiger Talk. Fort Hays State coming off a nice road victory on Saturday, disrupting homecoming in Emporia, knocking off the Hornets 24-21, jumping out to a 21-0 first quarter lead, then holding on down the stretch, but they get the victory to improve to 4-3 on the season. Next up, the Tigers back at home, taking on the defending national champions. Northwest Missouri State will be at Lewis Field Saturday afternoon. They're coming off a stunning loss to Pittsburgh State, 35-17 on their homecoming game this past Saturday. And we'll certainly talk more about the Bearcats as the program rolls along. It is brought to you once again by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine and Hayes, where the fire's always burning. Head coach Chris Brown of the Fort Hays State football team joins us right after the break, right here on Tiger Talk. Hi, I'm Gerard Welbrock, voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers, inviting you to join me for Tiger Talk. Airs Monday nights from 6 until 6:30 on Tiger Radio Mix 103, and then the video replay on Eagle Cable Channel 14 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We'll talk Fort Hays State football with head coach Chris Brown, preview the last game, and look ahead to the next week's action on Tiger Talk. Monday night, 6 till 6:30 on Tiger Radio Mix 103 and on Eagle Cable Channel 14. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Welbrock, head football coach Chris Brown, as the Tigers moved to 4-3 on Saturday, knocking off Emporia State on the Hornets homecoming Saturday. Tiger Talk brought to you again by the fine folks at Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill. They've got the great lunch menu items. The appetizers 8 till close every night of the week, so stop on by and check out the new items on the menu at Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, locally owned and operated, 3203 Vine, where the fire's always burning. And Coach, great win Saturday, needless to say. Anytime you lose 2 in a row, you don't want it to go to 3, and your team really responded, got off to that great start, kind of had to hold on the rest of the way, but bottom line, you got a road win. That's always nice.
It was a great start for us. Defensively, 3 and out, got the ball back to our offense, go and score, and then I think we created a turnover and get another touchdown. And we started fast. But those were all big plays. That we needed. Defensively and offensively, and kind of sparked us a little bit. Then we hit that roadblock again, and we tried to find a way to give that game away, but our kids came out, found a way to get the win. Drew with a nice 40-yard field goal, kind of get us, keep the lead for us, later on in the game. But we did it. We found a way to win the game, and we needed that win, and it feels a lot better on Sunday and now than it did the last 2 weeks before that.
Well, you had to be happy with the offense, as we said, especially early. 21 first quarter points, kind of hit a lull in there, but even down the stretch of the ball game, did enough things to help you win it. Again, it looked like another step forward for that side of the ball.
It is. They're getting better. Travion's getting better. O-line's getting better. Receivers were catching some balls. Had a few drops, but still catching the balls that they needed to be caught. And had some big plays, and that's something we've been looking for all year is big plays. Now we got to learn how to sustain drives. 10-play drives and finish it off with a touchdown, and some things like that. But we always shot ourselves in the foot. Another bad snap, a couple penalties that hurt us as well. And if we can eliminate those, offensively, I think we can continue to have drives that are going to last 4 or 5 minutes instead of just the real quick hitters.
Well, you had 5 plays of 25 or more yards. 2 of them went for touchdowns, and you've had your fair share of those. But this was the first game where you were really the aggressor and took advantage of the big plays.
It was. We had to find a way to make things happen. I told Coach Triber, hey, we're going to do whatever we can this week to get points, on the board. Red zone, we're going to take some chances and see what happens. And it worked out for us, those first 3 scores we had. And then I don't know what happened. We just need to continue to do what we were doing. And, I don't know if we just lost a little focus offensively. Thought that was going to be another, a cakewalk after that. But, not in this conference. It's not. You got to be ready for 4 quarters, and you got to play for 4 quarters. And, I felt like we played for about, 1.5, and that's about it. So we need to continue to get better, each week.
Trevion Albert, 14 for 29, threw a couple of touchdowns, had the 2 interceptions, but 7 different players caught passes, did a nice job of really utilizing his wide receiver core.
And you got to do that as a quarterback. Ed Williams is a great receiver, Max is a great receiver, Bilal gone, finally got gone, into our passing game, which needed to be done all year long. The guy's a big target. And he gets open and he catches the ball well, and he ran pretty well, in that game after the catch, which was surprising to me how well he ran. But that was huge for him. Broke a tackle there towards the end, and that kind of sparked our whole offense. But you got to spread it around. If you just get locked in on one guy, you know, the defense is going to focus on that, and that's who they're going to take away. So, you know, you got to spread it around, make the team defend the whole field.
You mentioned the defense, kind of the bend but not break, and that's been really your philosophy all along at Fort Hays State. Forced some turnovers, got some big stops in the red zone, gave up some yards, gave up some first downs, but came up with the big plays when they really needed to.
They did a great job. I mean, there's a couple times they're down there and we get, you know, a fumble recovery, an interception, hold them on fourth down, I think 3 times, which is huge. And when you can do that defensively, you know, you take some momentum away from their offense, and that's what we did. Took their quarterback out, but I'll tell you what, the freshman that came in for him did a heck of a job, you know, for Emporia. And, you know, hats off to that kid. He performed very well, was in a tough situation, but really brought him back, you know, and got him into the ball game.
Well, the Tigers get the win, 24-21, to get back above the 500 mark. Now 4-3 as they get set to host Northwest Missouri State this Saturday. We'll talk more about the Bearcats a little bit later on in the program, which is, of course, brought to you by the fine folks at Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill. We need to squeeze in a break. We'll do that right here. Back with more from the head coach on Tiger Talk. And welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Walbrock, joined by head football coach Chris Brown. It's all brought to you again by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill. They have the steak toppers. It includes blue cheese, Parmesan crusted, the Chardonnay mushrooms, and the Burgundy mushrooms. And it can all be added for your steak. Ask about it next time you're in to Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine, where the fire's always burning. More on the Tigers' 3-point win at Emporia State Saturday, and we talked about it. Got off to a good start. Drove the ball even though you didn't score in your first possession. Kind of ran into that area of the field, 40 to 30 to 20, in there in the opponent's territory. Kind of bogged down. It seemed like a negative play. This team really struggles right now on offense when you have a negative play, especially early in a possession, to overcome that.
It is, you know, and it's something that we've done all year long. Either it's a bad snap or some type of penalty, or quarterback gets sacked, or, you know, we run for a loss as well, and those are things we got to learn to overcome. You know, we still got 2 more downs to get a first down, but it seems like if it's on that first down we lose 5 or 10 yards, on 2nd and 15 we just don't get it back, and now we end up 3rd and 15 instead of trying to make it, you know, 3rd and 7 to 3rd and 6. You know, try to make it manageable, and we just haven't done that yet. So offensively, that's something we've got to learn. You know, overcome some adversity. Don't worry about it. Just keep moving on, and you know, make some plays that are positive plays, and make those 3rd downs manageable for us.
The defense kind of bails them out. They get the 3 and out, and then you come right back. You got the ball near midfield. Garrison Hendricks, I think, a good punt return, got you to your 48, and then the quick hitter, 52-yarder to gone, and as you alluded to earlier, made a nice over-the-shoulder catch, and then a good run to avoid the corner over there to get it into the end zone.
Yeah, Travion did a great job setting it up. You know, he looked gone off, looked to our 3 receiver side. Gone beat their outside linebacker and was wide open. Travion hit him, and it was a great catch and a great run after the catch. And you know, that really sparked our offense, got us going, got us excited. And then, you know, we come back, and I don't know if we get a turnover or I think we got a turnover, and then we score again off of that as well. So I mean, those are huge plays for us.
Yeah, Ed Brown gets the interception off the deflection, and you get the ball in their territory. You came right back, went after it first play, found Ed Williams, and he got by his man, and he's got that great speed, and another good catch for him, and a good throw from Travion to connect for a 14-0 lead.
It was, you know, and it was a heck of a catch. You know, Travion kind of put it out too far outside, but he was able to get underneath it and make the adjustment and catch the ball and score that 2nd touchdown. And you know, right there as a team, you feel pretty good as a coach. All right, let's see if we just continue to do this, continue to roll, and, you know, continue to play well on defense, and then offensively, you know, keep putting points on the board. And God did it one more time, but then we just kind of stuttered after that, and we're just kind of quiet the rest of the game. You
know, until late in the game, you made some big plays, but I thought one of the keys was on Emporia's next possession. They drive all the way down to your 20, but you get a turnover on down, just stop them on 4th down in the red zone. That was kind of the theme of the day, but at that point, that was kind of the key because it kept that at 14-0.
Yeah, that was huge. You know, we've got to do something in that because it could be 14-7, change the whole momentum of the game and the look of the game. But defensively, we stepped up. You know, they got it done, and they did it a number of times, you know, down inside the red zone. You know, the last week in the game. So very proud of the way those guys stepped up in the red zone.
A couple of punts by each team. They have a kind of shank one off to the side. You get good field position and finish it off. Edward Smith, who had an efficient day at running back, able to get a touchdown to close out that first quarter scoring.
It was, you know, for him, that's probably the most patient I've seen him as a running back. You know, letting the hole develop, seeing the hole, and then you're letting his linemen do their job before he just busts it up in there. And but he did a great job. You know, he managed it well, and he ran well, and he ran hard, and he was downhill. You know, and that's something we've been trying to get him to do since we've been here. And this year he's starting to do that, making himself a better back every week in and week out.
Well, that touchdown made it 21-0 Tigers. Obviously felt pretty good about the proceedings up to that point, but it would obviously get a lot closer and a lot more interesting as the game rolls along. And we'll talk more about that when we return to Tiger Talk, presented by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine in Hayes. We're back with more from Coach Brown right after this. Welcome back to Tiger Talk, presented once again by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine in Hayes, where they've got some great prime rib dinner specials, pastas, ribs, also meat combos, the 2 meat combos, steak and shrimp combos, steak and rib combos. They've got a combo for everyone at Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine in Hayes, where the fire is always burning. We appreciate them sponsoring Tiger Talk throughout the Fort Hays State sports season. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. Really good early. As we mentioned, 3 stops inside the red zone, forced 4 turnovers in the game, gave up a few plays, but by and large played pretty well. When they really had to make some plays, they did.
They did. You know, that very first series after the half, you know, if we could just stop them there, we might change the whole, you know, outcome of this game the way it was right then and there. And, you know, we gave them some confidence by letting them get a field goal. But on that series, you know, Joita should have had a sack. You know, it's 2nd and 15. Lindsey missed a couple of tackles, you know, and now we're in the 3rd down situations and then make them punt the ball, or, you know, maybe they go for it on the 4th down again. But in that drive, you know, alone, I think we had 4 missed tackles, you know, that allowed them to get first downs. Or if we make those tackles, who knows what happens in this game. We get a good stop. They lost all confidence, you know, and but, you know, we let them gain confidence by kicking a field goal, and they made a battle out of the game.
And that seems to be the challenge with this group this year, that knockout punch, that, you know, keeping the foot on the pedal and putting a ball game away. We've seen it a lot where you look like you're in control, and then all of a sudden you kind of give that momentum back.
You do, you know, as coaches, you talk about to them, you know, talk to them all the time about, hey, keep the pedal down, keep working, keep, you know, being relentless and physical and aggressive, and finish this game off. But you can only talk so much as a coach. You know, your players got to step up and make the plays and make things happen for them and keep the pedal down. And, you know, if they don't do it, I mean, there's not much you can do as a coach. You can try your best, but it's got to be on the kids, you know, at that point in the game to really finish them off and figure out how to do that as well.
They cut it to 8. They go for 2 and get the 2-point conversion to make it a 1-possession game. Did you have to say anything to your team? What was the mood on the sideline? Because as you know, you go from in control to all of a sudden we got a ball game here and still a lot of football left.
Pretty good control with our players, you know. As a coach here, you know, I'm pretty frantic and getting after them quite a bit and getting on them. And they're, hey, we got it. We're going to take care of it. We got this under control. We're going to win this ball game. We're going to get it done, coach. And as a coach, you're like, all right, they got the attitude we want, and hopefully they do the things they need to do these next few series. And you know, they end up doing it. You know, big pick there at the end by Nathan Lindsey, and then, you know, we ran the clock out, which is huge for us.
Well, and after they cut it to 8, you answer a 7-play drive, and Drew hits the 40-yard field goal barely. He just barely got it across, but bottom line, he found a way to get to those 3 points to make it a 2-possession game going up by 11.
He did, and that's a huge play in that game because, you know, if he doesn't make that, they go back down and score, and now it's a 24-21 game, and if he doesn't make that, it's 21-21. Here we go into overtime again, possibly. And right now, I don't feel good about overtime after the Washburn week, but, you know, he did it. You know, we put our faith in him, and, you know, he did a heck of a job getting it through there.
Well, they come back, they get another touchdown and get it to 3, which ended up being the final margin. You drive, it kind of stalls, you have to punt, and then you mentioned it, the defense gets the big pick. Nathan Lindsey, a big day, 2 interceptions, 1 on the goal line earlier in the ball game, and that one kind of sealed it.
It was huge, you know, but that's a point of game where we had 4 or 5 minutes on the clock, and, you know, offensively, we got to grind it out. You know, we got to finish off this last part of the game, go get some first downs, you know, drive the ball down. I think we only got 2 first downs, and there took 3 minutes off the clock. Where I want all 5 minutes taken off the clock, and, you know, we didn't do it. And then, you know, we got a punt, and then, you know, Nathan gets that pick, which is a huge part of the game. They ran that play 3 or 4 times in the game. And in that situation, as a coach, they're not going to run play action. They showed you play action. All of our guys bid up, but he dropped back just fast enough to get the pick. But you know they're going to throw the ball, just getting past coverage. And he got the pick. Offense took over, controlled the game, and you know, they won it for us at the end.
Tigers get the win, 24-21 to go to 4-3. Now they set their sights on the defending national champions, Northwest Missouri State, coming to Hayes on Saturday. We'll talk about it when we return to Tiger Talk right after this. Welcome back to our final segment on Tiger Talk, presented by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill at 3203 Vine. Hey, they've got your favorite drinks at the drink bar, over 200 selections to choose from the next time you're in at Whiskey Creek. 3203 Vine, locally owned and operated. It's where the fire's always burning. Fort Hays State, the big win, 24-21 at Emporia State. Before we talk about the Bearcats, what does a win like that do for this team? I mean, just the way you won it, you held on down the stretch, but coming into it, dropping 2 in a row after that big one over Pittsburgh State. I know I never sensed the confidence was shaken from this team, but obviously after a while, a little seed of doubt sets in there. What did a win Saturday do for this group?
It's huge for them. You know, just that bad taste in your mouth after 2 losses. You just don't feel real good about yourselves. You're not very confident. You know that we were still confident in our abilities and the things we could do. We knew we had a pretty good team, but you know, it just ups you a little bit, gives you a little bit more of a boost. You know, coming into this week of practice, and you know, it's a heck of a lot more fun when you win to practice than after you've been losing. So, you know, our kids, you know, they feel good about themselves. I mean, they're confident right now. They came in on Sunday and worked their tails off in the weight room and in the film room as well, and they learn. You know, they're eager to learn and they're eager to get better, and that's all you can ask out of your kids.
And give them credit. It seemed like last week a very good week of preparation. Didn't let those 2 losses get to them, as frustrating as they were. Did what they had to do to get themselves ready both mentally and physically to play that game Saturday.
They did. You know, it's tough after 2 losses. You know, 2 games. You know that you feel you had a chance to win, and you know they just didn't get it done, and you know, that takes a toll on you a little bit as a kid. You start thinking about other things. What can I do differently? You know, are we doing the right things? And you know, it's just about being confident, believing in your teammates, and believing in your coaching staff and the things that we're doing, and making yourself a better football player. And you know, really hone in on the things that you can do to make yourself better as a football player, and that will make our team better. And I think they've done that so far. Put time in the film room, and they're scattering reports, and you know, on the practice field to make themselves better football players. And you know, I'm proud of them. They always battle back, and they always find a way to get things done.
Well, a big challenge coming up this Saturday afternoon, a 2 o'clock kick with Northwest Missouri State. I guess anytime you have the defending national champions coming to your place, that's always a big game.
It is. You know, they're a very good football team. Lost last week against Pitt, you know, so they're probably going to come in here a little upset and want to make a statement. So, you know, we got to be ready for that challenge. They're going to be at their best, you know, so we got to be at our best as well. And you know, defensively, they're very strong up front. They got great linebackers. Their secondary is very good. They're going to play a lot of man coverage, and you know, we got to be able to beat the man-to-man defense, and protect our quarterback and give him time. And then offensively, they got Brady Bowles, who's a great quarterback. They got a great receiving core. Their O-line is very strong, and they move very well, and they got great backs. So it's going to be a tough battle. They're a good football team, and you know, we're going to be ready to play.
Well, they're obviously now with the loss and the way it's starting to shape up. They may need a win out to get into the postseason to make the playoffs anyway. So every game is big for them. But again, another opportunity. You had a statement game at Pittsburgh, and you played very well, found a way to get that win. This is another one of those games for this group.
It is, you know, another chance to see kind of where we're at, you know, in our program and in this conference. You know, are we a top-tier team, middle-tier team, or are we still in the lower tier? And you know, hopefully we're working our way to the top, you know, and it's just about doing things right on Saturday. Don't turn the ball over on offense, you know, get some first downs, control the ball, control the clock, keep their offense off the field, and then defensively, you know, make them earn everything that they get. Don't give up the big play and make things easy for them. So, and it's going to be a great challenge for us. I'm excited about it. I want to see where our kids are at and how they perform, and you know, to see if we're there. And we need to find out if we're there or not.
Get the sense over the last couple of years with Fort Hays and Northwest, you've closed the gap on just being physically able to match up and play with them. I think even though the scores maybe haven't indicated, you see those games, you leave the stadium, it's like, boy, just a lot of little things that Northwest does, and they don't make any mistakes, they don't hurt themselves, is sometimes the difference in those games.
It is, and they're very disciplined. They don't turn the ball over very often. They get a lot of turnovers on defense, and you know, they play physical and they play through the whistle. And you know, I think we're getting closer, and you know, we won't find out till this Saturday how close we are, but you know, it's going to be a good game, and our guys have got to fight and battle and do whatever they can to win this ball game.
Should be a lot of fun. Defending national champion Northwest Missouri State at Lewis Field for a 2 o'clock kick. Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Have a great week of practice, and we'll see you Saturday as you take on the Bearcats.
Thanks, Gerard. Have a good one.
That is Chris Brown, head coach of the Tigers. And again, a reminder, it's a 2 o'clock kick at Lewis Field Saturday afternoon. And you can hear the game on Tiger Radio Mix 103, 1 o'clock with the Auto World pregame show. Hey, if you missed any portion of the program, on Tiger Talk. You can always catch it archived online, hayespost.com, and the video replay on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 10:30 in the morning and 7 o'clock at night on Eagle Cable's Channel 14 and 614. So a couple of other options if you missed part of the program here on Tiger Talk. And it's brought to you each and every Monday by the Hayes Orthopedic Institute at Hayes Med, or the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, I should say, the Taco Shop, G&L Tire and Automotive, Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, Adams Brown, Barron and Ball, Couture for Men and Women, James Motor Company, BTI, and of course, Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine in Hayes, where the fire's always burning. We'll do it again next week. For head coach Chris Brown, this is Gerard Welbrock. Good evening, everyone.
It's the Fort Hays State University Coaches Show on Eagle Community Television, brought to you by Eagle Communications.